storytelling in all places are the same, whether it's a novel, film, or a story of your life. You meet a giant problem that's holding your great self from becoming this monster, and you're fighting that battle to be who you want to be. So there is a hurdle, challenge that needs to be overcome. All great stories have a challenge and a hurdle. The way we tell a story on screen is finding that hurdle and putting a protagonist there, a hero or a heroine, fighting that problem and getting to what she or he wants to get to.
To just like you mentioned that you've been a part of Vancouver's film school, and we know that you've been a part of Vancouver's TV and movie industry as well. There's another series that I've been talking to you constantly about. You've been a part of Once Upon a Time series filmmaking team as well, right? How was that experience? Because I can't stop loving that series. I'm not even kidding. I've actually told my friends the whole story of it because I was so fascinated with that story. That's so amazing. I mean, I would love to be a part of that story, bro. That's great.
Yeah.
So, like, how was the whole experience there, and in the movies that you have directed, been a part of, like Arrows and all of that? How was that?
So movie making is a very exciting process, but it's not as glorious as one might think of it. Because when we are watching it, everything looks so perfect, the actors, the story, and all of that. But behind the scenes is a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat and blood. So while the story is amazing, Once Upon a Time is my favorite show as well. I think the work behind it was quite heavy, and we had to be up late in the night. We had to come to set 4 in the morning. The sets were sometimes, in isolated, deserted places. So you had to travel 2 hours to get to a place. And at times of the day when you do not have public transport, so you have to figure out how do you get there. If you have your own car, that's great. Otherwise, you have to, hitch a ride with someone. So I think the process behind filmmaking is really hard. It's not as much glorious, fun, easy. But when it translates, the story translates into cinema, and you see all of that come together because it's a collaborative work. There's a filmmaker, there's a camera person, there are actors. Everybody works to make one story, one vision come to life. So the final product is always something that moves people. Working in film is not that enjoyable. It's great, I love it, but I just want to tell all the viewers that it's not something where you just go and have a great time. It's a lot of hard work.
Just like we love watching movies, but creating that fun of us watching it is actually difficult. And when it comes to Once Upon a Time, there was so much in it. I could feel what you're saying because there were places, if you might remember the Peter Pan part, where that was actually in, I think, an island sort of a place. I think I'm not sure if that was a set that you guys created or you traveled to such place that could be shot that way. So I can definitely
a lot of traveling. Film means you have to move to different locations because the director and the producer, the team chooses the locations, and as a crew you are just going anywhere they take you. And the great thing about Vancouver, British Columbia, is that it's so mesmerizing, it's so pretty, and the reason Once Upon a Time looks that great is because we shot it in a place that's so heavenly. And we have amazing islands there, amazing nature. Everything is so amazing there. So, of course, it looks great on TV.
Yeah, I do have a personal question, though.
Yes.
What is your favorite character or a part from Once Upon a Time that you love?
I like all of them, actually. I cannot pick a favorite because it is one of those shows where each character has so much, role. There's so much background. There's so much story that it's really hard to pick. I love all of them.
And even there's like so much diversity in every character's, story. Because you can see Regina being a complete evil queen in the start, but then you love her towards the end.
Yeah.
So definitely, but don't you think that, like, I thought it personally, season 7 ended too quick. No, I was waiting for something more. I didn't want it to end so quick.
Yeah.
But even I loved the whole concept there. I was telling everybody, do you know who Cinderella is? I was telling that so lovely. I don't think there's any character of the, fairy tale land that we have been knowing that was missed in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It had
Mm-hmm.
everything with so different,
Yeah.
notations. Like I even loved Alice towards the Alice in the Wonderland. I even
Yeah.
loved her towards the end. So I think it was amazing to watch.
Mm.
And uh, I am not a very big fan of fantasies, but
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah,
was
this was great.
this was epic. I
Yeah.
mean, and I
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Obviously, now that you highlighted that it
Mm-hmm.
was a hectic job to be there,
Yeah.
I always thought it might be so
Yeah.
interesting to be on that part,
Yeah.
making and producing this amazing movie.
Yeah.
Though.
You know, you work 18 hours a day sometimes.
Mm.
And while you do get paid very well
Yeah.
on film, it's still 18 hours of hard work. You're not allowed to sit. You have to constantly keep moving. You have to be attentive. So you don't have time to chill. And the work really kind of like, if the movie does well or the film or the show does well, you really feel very proud because you're like, wow, जो भी हमने hard work किया वो दिख रहा है.
Correct.
But if the movie is not received very well, then I think the entire crew feels a bit sad. So I'm really glad to know that you enjoyed the show.
I loved it. I'm not even kidding. I don't know how many times I've told you this already, but I loved it. So yeah, I was even so happy when you told me this. I was like, Mom, do you know who I'm going to meet today? She's a part of Once Upon a Time, and even my mom loved it so much.
Yeah.
So I think it was
Yeah.
a great show.
Do you know Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things?
I don't watch Stranger Things.
But do you know Stranger Things?
Yeah, I know
The show?
Yeah, yeah.
The kid, the main character?
Yeah, yeah.
So when he was still a kid who did not have his fame, he was a part of 2 of my student films. So I got to work with him. I mean, back then he was just a kid, we had on
Right.
set. And, I was a part of this amazing 2 films. And then later on, I was like, whoa, isn't this the same kid from, my movies? I was like, wow, he's on Stranger Things. So that was really cool. And you see people getting somewhere. And it's so amazing. Film industry, it's one of the most brilliant things. You can see somebody being a nobody and then have that kind of fame and, recognition. So it's so great.
That's so true. Yes. So, any other experience or any other memorable event that you have from your experience at the Vancouver TV and film industry?
I think one of my most memorable experience was when I was called to be a part of a show. So I went on set. I wasn't told which show I'm going to be on. Sometimes they'll call you, if they need somebody. So that was just when I graduated. I was on the set. I was doing my thing. And then I just noticed somebody who looked very familiar. And back then, there was a movie that I had watched, Up in the Air, with George Clooney. I don't know if you've watched this movie. It's a great movie. So the actress, Vera Farmiga, she was basically standing right in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah, and memorizing her lines. She was like doing her lines. And I was like, I know her. And that was the first time I was on set and had seen a celebrity. So that made me feel so excited. But I have been told that you cannot go disturb actors or, professionals. But I was screaming inside. I was like, how do I go and tell her I love her? But of course, I held my, excitement because I have to be professional. Don't want to go, bother your actor. But it was so amazing to see her.
That's so nice. I can imagine myself in your place. That's so. I mean, even I would be. I don't know how you controlled being a professional. I would have still gone and be like, "Hi, ma'am," and all of that. So yeah, that's amazing. Also, so we were talking about storytelling and all of that. Let's come to that part as well. So I wanted to personally ask you first that basically the storytelling part, we all know the upper part of it, है ना? ऊपर से हमें पता है कि storytelling is important, how it works, how it has been. But what basics are of storytelling and what makes a story stand out?
Yeah.
A film stand out.
So storytelling in all places are the same, whether it's a novel, whether it's a film, or whether it's the story of your life. You meet a giant problem that's holding your great self from becoming this monster, and you're fighting that battle to be who you want to be. So
Right.
there's a hurdle, there's a challenge that needs to be overcome. That's all stories. All great stories have a challenge and a hurdle.
Right.
And the way we tell a story on screen is finding that hurdle and putting a protagonist there, a hero or a heroine, who's going to take a chance on fighting that problem and getting to what she or he wants to get to. So that's storytelling. That's the prominence basic idea of how stories work. So if I were to ask you, Harshita, what's the story of your life? Perhaps I'm pretty sure you would say about, who you are. You'll set yourself as a character. This is me. I studied in this university. I used to be an extrovert. And eventually, when I joined university, I realized that it took me some more courage to be able to speak to people. So that was your story, right? What was the problem there?
Not being able to communicate well at
Yeah,
first, right?
yeah, having difficulty in finding yourself in the adult world.
Correct.
You were always surrounded by people who knew you, so it was very easy. Now you were placed in an environment that was perhaps in your head harsh.
Right.
People that you did not know or somehow had some sort of fear from. So that was your challenge. And overcoming that challenge would make what your story is. Now you're doing a podcast. So you're in the process of overcoming that introvert who could not, gel around with people. You're meeting strangers today, sitting with them and having a heart-to-heart conversation.
This is amazing. I could actually have those shows, you actually transcripted the whole story that I just gave you into such a beautiful movie. I think that this is amazing. I mean, wow. So yeah, I could definitely feel the importance, the way a storytelling thing works, just with the very personal example you just gave. So that's amazing.